I'll get them back in the next day or two.
Yeah, he said it won't take long. That sister, she's still alive.
Completely
His sister.
uneventful.
Stay the same. So you need two in the back. Same one.
So we got 459.
Look, did you make it to Diane'sville? Did you go?
I did not.
So these mics stay they stay hot, and I think we're live. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 5 o'clock. I'm going to call this work session of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. Can y'all hear me out there? So first item on our work session agenda is our Q1 goals. Jonathan, you want to review those with us?
Sure. So complete Phase 4 street resurfacing, substantial completion review is tomorrow, March 6th at 1 p.m. So again, as I was discussing with you, Councilman, earlier, our plan, Barry Mott and Glenn have been working on the next round of street resurfacing. So what we anticipate to do kind of every year, kind of going forward, as long as the funding's there, is to plan as if funding will be there for some amount in the $1.5 million range, plus or minus, and prioritize the streets based on CPI to continue to take down as many streets as we can. So by the time we get to the budget in October, we will go forward with, whatever we've agreed on for a budgetary amount, and then we've had the design and the project and scope already done that we can move forward into bid sometime in October.
All right. Sounds good. Any questions on the paving?
So the PV sports field complex equipment, still talking with Barry Mott on that. It says it's with him on the notes that I put. It's actually at this point a possibility that we won't need to buy any equipment. Is that still correct, Barry? For the PV Park Phase 2, that your recommendations to not buy any GPS equipment to do that project. Sounds like the site grading plan that Glenn came up with it was good enough that we don't need GPS equipment to accomplish it with in-house forces. So Barry's also got the list of sidewalk projects. He told me you were bringing that tonight during staff review. He'll mention where those sidewalks are to get concurrence from you. Future TAP sidewalk, we still have Bellwood Road from Bowleville Circle to Wallace Drive as our recommendation to proceed on with the next TAP grant. Any council members disagree with that plan?
I think we've all already given the thumbs up on that, right?
Okay, I'll just mark that as complete then. We're still working on the Parks and Rec maintenance facility location. At this time, I think we're looking at an area behind the Civic Center. But I think Barry and Glenn are looking at the what kind of site work that will need and accessibility for our trucks. Let's see, planning and zoning. Zoning advertisement was introduced on February 20th. It ran in 2 Saturdays ago, right?
The first one.
First notice.
The second one ran this past Saturday.
Yeah, so second one ran this past Saturday. So that should be coming up, is it March, the next meeting?
19th.
Yeah, March 19th for you to approve or not. The options for the connectivity route, I went back and looked at our comprehensive plan. There were several kind of spokes around on the outside of the bypass that would be called connector roads. Within that, in the recommendations, we specifically sent notice to Sane and Associates, who helped us out with that transportation study, to do a deeper dive on 2 routes in particular. One was connecting some version of Coppinville Road to Rucker Boulevard, and the other one was connecting Porter Lunsford to Rucker Boulevard in some form or fashion. And so to do a more in-depth analysis on, feasibility, if there's stream crossings, get some sort of cost estimate, the proposal they sent was about $50,000. So if we would like to go down that route, I can bring some sort of proposal to the next council meeting, or any council meeting, I guess, until you decide you'd like to do. But that would be our next step to get a more shovel-ready project.
So this is an item on our strategic plan. Is everybody comfortable moving forward with the next step of that, now that we've got about you're thinking it's about a $50,000 item?
Yes, sir. It was 45,000 base and up to $5,000 additional. So the estimated budget came in at 50,000. And I'll provide you with a copy of the scope of work that they had. But the analysis basically.
All right, well, why don't you, if there's no objection, provide the council with that proposal, and bring us something that we can discuss next meeting, possibly take an action on.
Okay, I'll do it.
So everybody's good with at least going that route? Okay.
Okay. The crime reports with historical benchmarking, Chief had presented that in a formal citywide update, and I don't know if you all received a copy of that, I believe, via email. Is that something you'd like him to do in a public setting, or more formally, or would you consider that objective complete?
What's the pleasure of the council on that? Do we want to do that in staff reports at some point in the future, or
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
everybody good with that?
Like the staff board.
Yes. Chief, you okay doing that? Maybe, it doesn't have to be next meeting, but in either March or April.
Yes, sir.
Just come forward during staff reports.
Okay, we're still waiting on AlDOT approval on the southern bypass lights, and I know that's old to say that every time I get up here for the last 6 months, but it's where we're at with the project. You'll get an update on Operation Clean Sweep and nuisance properties later on during staff reports from Thomas and Barry.
That's tonight.
Tonight, yes, sir. Your on-air light was purchased and functional at the last council meeting. We considered our review the wins, a year in review that we did at the last council meeting. Tonight, you will receive an update from ESCC on the status of the Workforce Development Center and other projects that they're working on. In your package, you'll see an email from outside legal counsel regarding bylaws and next steps for the land bank. You'll see that email, and then at the bottom it says Hand Arundel and Associates. So at this point, I think the attorney had to go back and get another name reserved with the Secretary of State. Once that is resolved, we'll go through and be provided with a certificate of incorporation that was approved with the resolution you adopted when we moved forward in January with the land bank. And then we'll look to take nominations based on the articles of incorporation and bylaws for 4 board members, which will be appointed based on the criteria outlined in the bylaws. So that would be the next step. And there's no urgency on this. Obviously, they have no funding source, but ultimately, one of the recommendations there would be in future years, subsequent budget years, to look at some level of funding that would be appropriate for that authority.
So practically, it would be nice if we had this set up by October, so that in the event we decided to fund it, they could hit the ground running.
Yes, and I think part of that is going to be making sure that the board members that are appointed have some sort of training. That was a recommendation from the attorney, so that they understand the role that they would have as a land bank, and what their role as board members would be. Okay. Any other questions about the land bank? Okay, and I think that's, I mean, the EMS incentive pay for firefighters is on tonight's agenda. We're waiting, we may be able to close on the farmer's market property as early as next week. However, we do not have a resolution before you authorizing that, so I think we're going to push it out maybe until the next council meeting. But most of the due diligence has been done on that at this point from the city attorney. And there's one on here to schedule a work session with stakeholders regarding future medical facilities. And I wanted to talk about that because that's more of an action for you as a council to take. So, you know, I think we have our stakeholders, our healthcare authority, our, you know, our hospital, potentially new veterans home here as a stakeholder. But how would you like us to go about kind of, do you want that to be a formal work session with the council, the mayor, at a special time? Do you want to extend a normal work session by an hour? How would you envision setting that up?
In my mind, what's worked best in the past would be to come in, you know, 4 o'clock or so at a future, before a future council meeting, just extend the front end of our work session. Don't y'all think?
Go with that.
Are there dates that would be better for the council?
And for me, any council meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll get with the stakeholders and find out what date works best.
Okay. Yeah, just get with me and I'll get with these guys, make sure that somebody's not going to be absent.
Okay. And those are the goals.
All right. Any questions? Chief. All right. Next item on our agenda are, let's see. So it's our ALM delegate.
Yeah, so this is just, we get notice from the league, you know, every year, each city gets to nominate one voting delegate to attend their convention. The council has to adopt a resolution to authorize and put a name on there. I think in the past, Councilman Pageant has done that. I don't know if he or the council in general would like that to continue, or if there'd be another name you'd introduce, but as soon as we know, we can get the form filled out and put a resolution for you to look at one of the future council meetings.
Are you planning on attending again this year, Greg?
I have to check my calendar and make sure, but if possible, I'd like to attend it.
Is anybody else planning on attending?
Greg is the mayor.
I ain't given it some thought, but not, you know.
Can the mayor be a delegate if Greg can't go? Do y'all know?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, Greg, check on your calendar. If Greg can't go, then we'll maybe the mayor could be our delegate.
Yeah, if not, I'll look at my calendar.
Okay. All right. So let's just keep that on as an open item on our next agenda.
Okay.
Board appointments. So, as everyone knows, it's coming up on board appointment season. The one that typically takes the most time to get to is Board of Education. Scotty, that's up to you this year to bring us a suggestion. So just wanted to put you on notice of that. Jonathan and I are working on a final list of the board appointments. There's a little bit of confusion around a couple of the boards, just trying to get, making sure we're all on the same page. So him and I are going to get that finalized. So look for that in your inboxes in the next few days. Everybody should have about 2 nominations that y'all are in charge of. So be looking for that. Assuming everybody's okay with continuing on with the process we've used in the past. Okay, we'll just be looking for that. Jonathan and I will get that handled in the coming days, and we typically do that in April.
That's correct.
All right. Did I leave anything out, Jonathan?
No, sir.
All right, Seeds Grant. Tell us about the Seeds Grant.
So as mayor, as you and the council are aware, we were notified that the Industrial Development Board was a recipient of a SEEDS grant.
Jonathan, could you speak up? a little,
Yes, sir.
please?
Sorry about that. These mics are, you got to be right in them, so I'll do better. So we were the recipient of a SEEDS grant through the Industrial Development Board. If you recall, back in November, council, actually December, the council passed Resolution 121323, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the state of Alabama related to a SEEDS grant application. That application basically gave 66% of $8.5 million to the Industrial Development Authority. The resolution further authorized that the match that would be coming from the city or the IDB in the amount of $2.8 million. So, you know, this property that the Industrial Development Board has been looking at to acquire now has funding to go with it, but it requires a match. The resolution authorized this match pursuant to the Industrial Development Board's application. This was submitted along with the application. So I wanted to make you aware of it. It's good news if we want to go forward with it. I just, in your packets, have today I received a copy of the State Industrial Development Authority's agreement that would be proposed to be signed between the Industrial Development Board and the State Industrial Development Board. I have not had a chance to review that, nor has the city attorney, so I'm not sure, other than just making you aware that that agreement's in your packet, what action this board would, or body would need to take. But I wanted to make you aware of it.
So the chances that this land will be bought between now and our next council meeting?
Zero.
Zero. Okay.
Correct.
So everybody aware that, you know, we've already, no further official council actions needed for assuming everything goes forward. So, you know, obviously we can stop it, and it's not going to happen between now and the next council meeting. So just want to make sure everybody's aware that that is moving forward, absent some council action.
Yeah, and this in the agreement that you have in your packet, it has to be completed and turned in no later than the 27th of March.
Okay. So we'll have one more meeting between now and then.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is, you know, one of the checkpoints that we kind of talked about along the way in the various public hearings and reports. So just make y'all aware that that is moving forward unless we stop it. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, well, do you have any other questions about the SEEDS grant or any requirements that the city or Industrial Development Board might have? Okay.
Nope. ESCC update.
Okay. So I asked President Long to come to this meeting and give an update at your request. I think he brought some other members from the college here, but we're certainly glad that he's able to come and brief us. So.
Thank you, Jonathan. And thank you, Mayor, Councilman, Councilwoman, for giving me a few minutes this evening to give you several updates. But before I get started, I would like to just recognize my team. I think everybody here knows most of the administrative staff at Enterprise State, and I'm just proud of the work that they do in keeping the college moving forward. I gave each one of you a folder, so I just kind of like to talk through some of these points. The first one that has Allied Health on the cover, you can see really proud of our nursing program that's just rapidly growing, and those students, we had a 100% pass rate on the NCLEX this past year. So every LPN student that completed the program passed the NCLEX and is now in one of our health providers providing care. Our medical assisting technology program received accreditation this year. We've got a new partnership with the Enterprise Health and Rehab Center to provide training for CNAs. That'll be starting next month. Forgive me. You can see from 2018 through 2023, including enrollment from dual enrollment, our health science enrollment has doubled. Enterprise State produced 5 times more healthcare completers in 2023 than in 2018. Credit hour production, which is how we measure how many students, how many hours are enrolled, that has increased 16% over all other programs over the last 3 years. Moving on to aviation, we're really proud of our relationship and our partnership with M1. We've got an apprenticeship agreement for avionics, and they began in '22, and we'll have a new cohort that'll get started here before too long. We reopened the Brown Building on the Ozark campus. That was the original hangar, the original instructional space on that campus that was built in 1960. We reopened it just in January of this year. So really proud to see that program and really that campus as a whole has really been rejuvenated over the last several years. I want to point out Aaron Phillips was recognized. We had the National Student of the Year. Aaron is now working in the industry at one of our providers in Dothan. And he still continues to tutor students, so just really proud of Aaron. If you'll turn over that first page, looking at our manufacturing program, since 2019 we have awarded over 3,700 credentials. And those are everything from precision measurement to PLC, CNC. We use NC3 to award those credentials, and we continuously be recognized nationally for the number of students that we credential through our manufacturing program. Can't say enough about Aubrey and that program, and certainly looking forward to bringing all the aspects of that program to Enterprise. Rex Lumber is another strong partner of the college. They have, just this year alone, they awarded 8 full scholarships, which equates to about $45,000. And that partnership it really started when Aubrey was at Chipola. And if you've never met Aubrey Hanson, she's the director of the manufacturing program. But they have followed her from Chipola to Gulf Coast, now to Enterprise. And they put their money behind the program, and there's no commitment. Those students don't have to go work for Rex. They're just really excited about continuing to put people in the manufacturing industry. Child development, we've recently signed an articulation agreement with Troy to help pump more teachers into the pipeline. Dean Head has worked on several articulation agreements. We've got one that we've recently signed with Auburn in the agricultural curriculum. Our Computer Information Science program has recently been designated as a National Center of Academic Excellence. Our Fine Arts program, and we all know what's coming in regards to the Performing Arts Center, but we've seen a 17% increase in our credit hour production there, so really excited about that program and really what that facility is going to mean to the college, to the community. We are still on track, so we're looking at fourth quarter of this year, first quarter of 25 for a grand opening of the Performing Arts Center. Workforce development, we've put 323 students through Skills for Success, and if you're not familiar with that, that's the fiber optics training, the heavy equipment operator, the excavator training, food and beverage. I think you have several employees that have gone through that training. 521 students have taken advantage of workforce development opportunities in 2023, and that number stands at 493 right now as far as the current year, and we all know we've got several months to go. We have 150-plus business and industry partnerships, and those are industries that are either serving on our advisory councils, we're placing internships, really contribute to the college. We've seen a 4% increase in our total credit hour production for career technical, and that includes all of our career tech programs, which is an 11% increase in our head count over the last 2 years. And while I'm mentioning enrollment, we did see overall college enrollment grew about another 10% this fall. So your college has grown about 25% in the last 5 years, which maybe 3 or 4 other colleges have grown as much as that, community colleges in the state of Alabama over the last 5 years. So just really proud of the work that Dean Mathis does and our recruiting team, and certainly expect to see that number continue to grow this fall. Number I'm also really proud of, we served over 1,200 students last year in our adult education program. We had almost 90 graduates. And through 8 months this year, we've served almost 1,000 more adult education students. We've got 43 graduates, and that graduate number, that'll continue to climb as we close out the year. So probably the most important thing I came to give you an update on. So on the back side of this is the plans for the Workforce Center, and I apologize for its size, but I didn't think it'd be appropriate for me to roll in the full-size plans. We should break ground the first week of April. We are finalizing and negotiating the final contract for the site package, and we're bidding this out similarly to how we did the Performing Arts Center. So site package has been bid out. Then we'll bid out the building package, and the building package will be on the April board meeting. So these things are finally coming together. But if I can just kind of walk you, if you're looking at this, the top left, and it doesn't look like much, but that's about 2,000 square feet of flex space up here in that top left corner. And that was really important part of this project, because that's a space where we can do non-credit training, HVAC, electrical, plumbing. So this will be equipped with a ton of air, ton of power. We felt like it was important to have quite a bit square footage for training that maybe we don't know what we're going to be training for in about 3 or 4 years. So we're still in conversations with Alabama Power about an HVAC program, but that's where we can do our plumbing program, our electrical program. If you go below the flex space, that's our quality lab. So that's where a lot of the precision measurement training will take place. Below it is the electronics lab, so your AC/DC trainers. As you come around, that's our CNC lab, and then below it is the robotics lab. So essentially, this part of the building is going to address all of your manufacturing and non-credit training side. On the back side, up here at the top, you'll see 6 bays for our automotive maintenance program. The first 5 will be traditional bays, and then you have the alignment machine that's all the way over there on the right. And then on the far east side of the building is where you will have a 20-booth welding lab. We're looking at somewhere around 24,000 square feet, heating and cooled. Behind the automotive in the welding shop is a big outdoor lab space, so a lot of the equipment that they'll use in the welding lab will store and have a shield around it for aesthetics, so that you won't be able to see the scrap yard. But just really excited to see this project finally get off the ground. And you know, we've had and Lee and several others we've traveled all over the state and consulted with other colleges, other programs, industry leading specialists, and we think we've got a facility that's going to meet the demand of the Wiregrass. We've had lots of conversations with our local superintendents, other instructors in our K-12 schools, and I can tell you that they're just as excited as I am about the opportunities that we're going to bring to their students. So at this time, I will entertain any questions that you might have.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Long?
Mr. Long, I'm sure glad to see your plumbing and electrical on there.
Yes, sir.
No question, just that this is exciting for you all and for the community. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
And you may have said, but I think y'all are hoping for this to be available for fall of 25 classes.
Yes, that has been the marching orders to we've got a construction management firm that's working with us on the Performing Arts Center in this project, and they have assured me that that is possible.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Sonia.
When was that again? You said the first quarter. What was the date?
So,
You said 25?
yes, fall term.
Fall,
So,
that's what I'm saying.
I think the first day of class is August 18th, fall of 25. So they've been instructed to get me in that building in July.
Well, I mean, as this council knows, this is one of the first things we identified when we were doing a strategic planning back probably in 2021, our early 2021 was our weakness of our ability as a community to produce enough workforce. And I think that, that conversation is, of course, y'all were having the same conversation separate and apart from us, but, it presented this opportunity for a partnership on this. So I think we're all excited to see this come to fruition. Any other questions on that? No?
I was just going to say, from a partnership standpoint, it's nice to see when we partner, it moves and it takes off and it gets to going, and that's something that always happens when we collaborate with the college. Appreciate that.
I can't tell you how many times, people make comments about what our side of town is starting to look like
Right.
and transform. And, it's no secret that, the chancellor lives in Enterprise, and I know he circles that campus at least weekly, and he was by Friday morning and just really excited about, the relationship that we have, but also, how that side of town, the athletic fields, what you guys have done. I've already been challenged to several matches on the new pickleball court, so we will see y'all at the grand opening for those tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Thank
Long,
you.
and-
I would just like to say
Yeah, go ahead,
to
Mayor.
President Long, congratulations to you and your staff on the job that has been done, you are doing, and to see the improvements as you pass by, to see what is going on over there, and that Performing Arts building really is going to be something else. But you have a group of hardworking people.
Yes, sir.
And that you're very united, and of course, the city is very proud to know that we can work together as a team, because in that way we get a lot of things done.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. All right, council, next item on our agenda is to review our city council meeting agenda. So we'll start with the roll call, open prayer, and pledge of allegiance. I've got Pastor Mike Davis doing the prayer. Then we've got agenda approval and consent agenda, which consists of work session and meeting minutes from February 20th. We got accounts payable A and B, which have been distributed for review, and contract billings for Whaley for the Recreation and Aquatic Center. Looks like there's two of them totaling about $3.6 million. Then Holland Contracting for the new hangar. Barge for the same project for the new hangar out at the airport, and Three Notch Partners for the TAP sidewalk project. Any questions or concerns on the consent agenda? So then we'll move to privilege of the floor and staff reports. Then we'll have a public hearing for the annexation and zoning of the Bird in Curington. There's two of those actually, two separate annexations and zoning. One of them being 5.4 acres and the other's 86.35 Anything we need to know about that before the public hearing, Thomas or Barry? Be pretty straightforward. Okay, then we've got the parish rezone also, same answer. Nothing we need to know about it. All right, then we've got Sephora ABC license request, and Billy, you've got some pickup trucks. I believe these are budgeted items, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. They're budgeted items, and also to give you good news, they came under budget.
Okay, great.
So I know Leanne will be happy for me. She's been
Any
trying to keep
questions?
me straight with spending all this money, but yes.
Any questions from Billy on the new pickup trucks for the Parks and Rec
And
Department?
also to let you know that, of course, you see that we're going to be able to buy them local.
Yeah, that was great to see. So
Yes.
those will go to Mitchell, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Then next item's yours also, the exclusive beverage rights for Parks and Rec. I believe this is something we do occasionally.
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, Coca-Cola, we are recommending Pepsi, but Coca-Cola has been our supplier for many years. But Pepsi, they decided they wanted a piece of the pie with everything that we have going on. So they put in a competitive bid, and so we definitely recommend Pepsi for the next 3 years plus additional, 2 one-year contract with them.
All right. Any questions on the exclusive beverage rights for Parks and Rec? All right. Next item will be the additional pay for EMS certification fire department. Chief Davis, come. I know we talked about this in, I believe, our last work session. Give us an update on that.
Everything is just as we said before. The only difference is that we had started this process before Deborah came on board. And after the meeting, she was quick to point out a mistake that I had made, and that is that the 6% could create an issue. So Deborah and Jonathan talked, Jonathan and I talked, we all talked with Leanne. They gave the marching orders for how to fix the issue, and that would be to pay in a way that we have for other positions, which would be a per pay period amount separated by level. So it would, the request is 170 per pay period for licensed paramedics, which obviously that is what we're trying to move forward to, is to be able to increase that level of care, and 120 per pay period for advanced EMTs.
All right, so the only major change then was, it's about the same amount of money we were talking about
Correct.
2 weeks ago. You're just changing it from a percentage to a lump sum.
That's correct.
All right, any questions on that or concerns? All right, thank you, Chief. Next item is all in credit union car sale. Is there anything we need to know about that, Jonathan? We do that every year. We're just authorizing, there's no changes, right?
No, sir, no changes on the all-in car sale. Billy's been working that pretty hard, and in fact, at the council, or our staff meeting today with the mayor, we're trying to make sure all the departments that are involved in that, it's, police, it's fire, it's public works, kind of all hands on deck when that thing goes on. So we're making sure that we've got the resources prepped to do it, and it's a great benefit for the business and for the community.
All right, any questions on the all-in credit sale? All right, next item is our wildlife damage management services contract with USDA. I believe we've got a report on that.
Is everybody familiar with that contract and what we do? I'm Mike Williams. I'm the biologist for the area for the Wildlife Services, USDA. We've had this contract since 15 May 2021, and since we have been working this contract, we've worked 28 properties within the city, and that equates to about 265 person-day visits. So we've had 265 different days we've gone and done activity. Since we started this contract, we've removed 95 feral swine, 18 beaver, 5 coats and a couple other bycatch since we started that. We ran out of funding for this contract in February. It was originally a $10,000 amount. The contract original agreement goes through 30 September. We're asking for an additional $4,000 to get us through September, at which point we'll try to pursue another contract with the city along the same lines as the first one. So that would be an additional $4,000. With that money, we're going to continue to do primarily coyote removal through the city. I've been working with Chief Moore to kind of come up with a more comprehensive program for predator removal, since we've been getting a decent amount of complaints with that, and then continue feral swine removal as it arises. So, is there any questions?
Do you have any questions? Everybody familiar with how this works? I think it's turned into a really good program. I know I've seen it at work and, on my side of town, so
Okay.
certainly appreciate everything y'all do. I think it's a really good deal y'all give us.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
All right, next item would be the Perry Brothers Aviation Fuels LLC Airport Fuel Truck. I think Barry's going to give us an update on that. This is, I think it's, are we releasing the same truck that we've already got on lease?
Actually, we had budgeted an item this year to either purchase or to lease a new fuel truck. The one we have is over 20 years old and is giving us constant problems. We're trying to keep that thing running. We talked to to Perry Brothers, which has our contract for our fuel at the airport. They have a leasing program. What they do is they go in and buy a older truck and they basically refurbish it to new. So it's completely repainted, new motor, rebuild the transmission. It looks like it came off the showroom floor, and then they lease it out to cities like us to take the fuel from the tank to use it as a mobile device to the Jet A, to the jets and to the helicopters that we sell that fuel to. So talking to Leanne and Jonathan about it, it's a lot better deal for us to lease this truck instead of purchasing a brand new $200,000 plus fueling truck. And they warrant that all the major mechanical stuff is their responsibility. Our daily maintenance belongs to us. So what you have there is just an addition to or a modification to our existing contract with Perry Brothers to add a fueling truck to our contract. This was a budgeted item as well.
This does not leave airport grounds, right? It
Correct.
stays out there.
Stays on the airport.
All right, any questions on that? Okay, then we've got our FY22 resurfacing improvements, Phase 3A, change order.
Just, guys, just to let you know that we closing out the 3A portion of that contract. You've got the amount there. That's a reduction change order in the amount of $608,000 for Wiregrass Construction.
It says an increase. We did the deduction last time, didn't we?
It's an increase at 608, but understand that the net between 3A and 3B was
Okay.
about 570,000, so it's about a $40,000 increase, and the intention of that is to add Dozier Road to this contract so that we can get the Dozier Road completed as our agreement with the VA home.
Does everybody understand that we're increasing this one, we're taking the savings from the other one? All right, any questions on that? All right, fire department aerial apparatus. Chief Davis wants a new toy.
As usual.
I'd like to congratulate Billy on having those under budget while we talk about a new ladder truck for the fire department. This is the reason that I'm coming forward with this is obviously the ladder truck that we have is working on 25 years. It'll be 25 years old next year. It's a good truck, but it is showing age. And the reason that I'm bringing this up now instead of later is because the same kind of deal that we had with the last engine, where Sunbelt had already purchased or put in purchase orders for engine, or for ladders at the time, engines, and those have bypassed increases. So this would be a 75-foot ladder called a quint, so it can pump, and it's an aerial waterway, for $1.15 million. That'll save, as of today, around $200,000. If we wait for, say, 1 year, we can expect probably 2 more. So if we wait, it'll probably be an additional $350,000. The cost of this can be covered primarily with the fire fee account, as we did the last time. But at the time of its delivery, which should be in the second fiscal quarter of '26, there probably will still be around a
26 or
$200,000. Sorry?
26?
26,
So 2 years from now.
correct.
Okay.
There will still be around a $200,000 shortfall that we'll have to request from the general fund. It should not show up prior to that. Leanne and I had a meeting with the company. They assured us that they can make sure that that's the time frame, which obviously we need to collect those funds to be able to cover that.
Yeah.
It can happen now, it can happen later. This is just a way for us to save money, and the design that they have meets our needs.
So right now, what would the plans be with our existing ladder truck? Would it be to,
Should we buy this one?
should we buy this one? What would the plans
The
be?
recommendation is the same. Absolutely no way should we get rid of the current ladder truck.
Okay.
It just does not need to be utilized. We need to give it a bit of a break with a newer truck, if that makes sense. We're running it heavily, and we have for the last 23 years. There's 2 reasons. The one reason is the same one I gave you the last time when we were talking about the engine. You're never going to get the value of that ladder truck if you try to sell it. Hands down. You'd probably be disgusted with what somebody would want to offer for it. In addition to that, it does still run, it still operates, it's still certified, the ladder, the pump. And should we continue to grow as we are, although this can be a reserve engine, which counts for ISO, should ISO come back and go, okay, well, now you have enough 3-story buildings that we expect you to have 2, you can cut the city in half, so to speak, add a driver, and that gives us the ability to be more comprehensive and hopefully continue to maintain the needs of the city with larger buildings.
Does anybody have any questions of Chief Davis?
So the 200,000, that would be in your budget for '26? Is that, how are you,
It would have to be,
it's gonna
right?
have to be in '26? You just want to order now? The 200,000 is not paying now.
No, there's no money due until it is actually collected. Not one dime will go to them until,
Until they deliver the truck.
Right.
that's correct, which will be, again, first physical quarter of the year, or second fiscal.
Around January, February of 2026.
Yes.
About 2 years from today.
Correct. But by that time frame, we
It'd
will
be-
not have filled up enough in that account to pay for the whole thing. That's the reason for the 200,000.
Yep. All right, so the fire fee, if everybody remembers, is it $20 per residence on our
I believe it's
property tax
30.
bill, something like that?
You had to ask me the one question that I didn't look
I
at.
think it's
before.
$20. Okay. So any other questions, any concerns with moving forward with this? I know we've kind of laid out this plan several years ago, right, of our schedule to take down these trucks, so this shouldn't be as a surprise to anyone. But we've got 2 years to wait for it, I guess.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. No questions. We'll move on to, well, the next item is, Leanne, this is just a budget increase to take care of the resolution on the EMS incentive pay. Okay. So that's a $33,000, $650 budget increase due to the incentive pay on the EMS for firefighters. Any questions on that? We talked about that already. Okay, then, Thomas, you can tell us about the street light request? Or Barry? Or Jonathan? Who wants to take it?
Yes, sir. What you have in front of you is a streetlight request for 2 of the dams that are within the Gateway subdivision. We had a resident come and meet with us and brought a safety concern to our attention that those dams do not have guardrails on either side of them, and they have no lights on them, and people walk that neighborhood very regularly. I went out and did an inspection of that and thought it was a safety issue there, so I got a price from Alabama Power to add 1 light to each one of those dams as outlined in your agreement to add to our account, and that's what you have before you.
All right, any questions about these streetlight additions? All right, that is all of our council meeting. We do have a brief E911 board meeting after our council meeting. If you'll turn to that, all we've got is approval of the February 6th board meeting minutes and accounts payable A. Any question on those accounts payables? All right, so we'll, immediately after adjourning council meeting, we'll have an E911 board meeting. Shouldn't last more than a minute. So that is all for our work sessions. Anybody have anything else? We've got about 10 minutes for our council meeting. All right, we will adjourn from our work session, reconvene in our regular council meeting at 6 o'clock.
Still not good, but she is not used to being able to go and do, and that, she's kind of depressed, but
It's a lot of it too. You feel like your independence is. I have to call and check on her, try to uplift her spirits one day, do something.
That's okay. I mean, at least
if she contacted
it's in the
you, talked
conversation.
about any of that project with her.
I need to let her know what we're gonna do. Actually, we're donating to WEPS, women's, whatever it's called, WEPS. Got it in my pocket.
What now?
And I've talking to Heather, spoken to Heather. They're in need
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Do we have a Pastor Michael Davis here? All right, Pastor Davis is going to lead us in an opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. First, let me note that all members of the council are present. If y'all would please stand with me.
I'm leading you in the Pledge of Allegiance?
The prayer.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Did I say that wrong? I'm sorry.
I was beginning to think, what was that? Let's pray together. Father, thank you for an opportunity for your people to come together today and to talk about business and things that need to be done. We pray, Father, that during this time that there would be clear heads and clear minds. We also pray, Father, that each of us in this room today would do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with you through each and every day that we live and as we serve you each day. Father, thank you for our leaders, and we pray that you would bless them in a very special way today. For it's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right, council, you should have the agenda that we discussed earlier in front of you. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
A second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the city council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the city council. I will now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Let the record show I'll be recusing because of a conflict with accounts payable B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have this part of the meeting called Privilege of the Floor, which allows members of the public that are here tonight to address the council for 3 minutes. Do we have anyone wishing to take privilege of the floor? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to staff reports. I know we've got Barry and Thomas. Are there any other staff reports? You're going to, okay, why don't you all come first? Let's let Barry and Thomas go last.
So the Law Enforcement Torch Run supports Special Olympics. It brings attention and inclusion to the athletes. It's the largest public awareness for the Special Olympics, and we're known as the Guardians of the Flame for law enforcement. We carry the flame of hope into the opening ceremony, which began in Wichita, Kansas in 1981. Since then, it's raised over $1 billion. March 22nd, law enforcement and athletes will run from Main Street into the high school from field and track games. Our support for law enforcement, or law enforcement support for the Special Olympics. It's very important and dear to us. This is our first time we've been a part of it, and I'm looking forward to it. The games start March 23rd at the high school for track and field. So in order for us to do this, there's certain things that we like to do to support the athletes, and a lot of time it's monetary support. So we raise money as law enforcement officers. The first one that we'll do is March 8th. We have the craft, and it's Tip a Cop, where we'll assist the restaurant with serving customers. Now, there's always the tip that goes to your waiter or waitress. We're just there to get extra tips. All tips collected by law enforcement will be donated to the Special Olympics. There is a special treat for this. Some of you know I've got one of his officers over there. Captain Daryl Griswold will be our host at the front door. He has tried everything he can to get out of this, but it has been given an order as of this morning. He will be there with a beautiful smile on his face to greet people. We're also selling T-shirts, all of everything that we, any profit that we get, we're going to donate it to the Special Olympics. So I look forward to seeing everybody, if you can make it, lunch on March 8th from about 11:30 to 1:30 at the Craft. I'd like to thank the Craft and Dennis Chastain for giving us the opportunity to be the first time to do there. But we look forward to everybody. If you don't want to eat or you can't stay, but you can stop by to support us in the Special Olympics. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief. Any other staff reports? Billy?
Thank you, President. As you all know, I sent an email out earlier, and I hope that email made somewhat sense to you all about the opening of the pickleball courts for tomorrow. But I just wanted to just let y'all know that we posted these rules out there. One thing I want to add to it is that currently the courts will be available for daylight hours only due to the lights on the courts. The light poles are in, the lights are in, electrical, everything is supplied, provided to the poles. We are waiting on one power panel that was ordered 6 months ago. And the last 3 months, it keeps pushing back a month. So the courts are ready for play. So why hesitate another 4 weeks of not allowing play to happen? I know it's not the best idea for us to open these courts, but sometimes recreation or city facilities do not have lights and they can adjust. But I just wanted to let you know, as soon as the lights, the part that comes in, hopefully by the end of this month and maybe 1st of April, we'll have the lights up and going. One good thing about it is that this Saturday, spring forward, time change, so that it gives extra time of play before it gets dark after work hours. So we're all excited. The community is excited about us opening the courts. I hope that each and every one of you are able to make it out for the ceremonial grand opening. We're going to have some paddles out there, ceremonial paddles, and we're going to, instead of doing a ribbon cutting, we're going to do they call first dink, where you hit the ball back, So it's going to be something great. We're just, again, thankful for the partnership of the college, and I, again, thank you all for your support for the build of these courts, and also continue investing in the quality of life for the city of Enterprise.
All right. Thank you, Billy. Looking forward to it. Any other staff reports before we get to Barry and Thomas? All right.
Thank you for your time. One of the goals that you had for this year was to do quarterly updates on our public nuisances, what at the time we caveated as our Project Clean Sweep, as well as I want to give an update on our public works as related to our stormwater and sewer projects we've got going on. I know that there's a lot of questions coming to the council and to the mayor's office about that, as well as talk about, one of the other things I promised you was where are we going next with our sidewalk projects. That's the agenda that I want to give you during the staff reports. Before I turn it over to Thomas to give you the blight elimination program update, when we discussed this with legal counsel, Project Clean Sweep has got some copyright issues with it, and moving forward, we will not be using that term. So we came up with something a little bit more generic, Blight Elimination Program, BIP for short. Just as we move forward, you'll hear me call it that. And so we haven't done away with Project Clean Sweep. We've just recategorized it with a different name. So with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Thomas. He's going to walk you through our first quarter update for the Blight Elimination Program.
Those attorneys always steal all the fun, don't they?
Good evening, council. First, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to give a nuisance property update. So within the presentation, the few things that I want to cover is, one, our objectives. Two, I want to show some statistics from last year and some things that we were able to get done. And then three, I want to show you some pictures of nuisances that we deal with on the daily, and also nuisances that we are dealing within the blight elimination program. So we have 4 objectives. One is very specific. The other 3 are more broad. And basically, those are to deal with the blighted issues in Colony Drive, Village Heights, which is commonly known as Apache Drive Apartments, and Castle Ridge, which is commonly known as Dixie Drive Apartments. We also want to eliminate blight on our major thoroughfares, that's such as Rucker Boulevard, Boll Weevil Circle, all of our collector streets that we have. We also want to make sure that we ensure the health and sanitation of our residential neighborhoods, and we want to ensure that we cultivate a healthy relationship with the public. A lot of times when we're dealing with the public, they don't understand what we're wanting to do. We want to make sure that we're communicating why we're here, what we're doing, and what we're trying to get done. So the numbers that I want to share with you they're from 2023. I want to show you what we did last year when it came to Colony Drive, Village Heights, and Castle Ridge. So to kind of break down those 3 areas, I broke it down into how many properties there are, how many owners there are, and how many possible tenants are in those complexes. So you have 279 properties. I'm counting properties as each individual dwelling that is in those complexes. And of those 279 properties, they are owned by 53 separate owners. 90% of those owners are either corporations or out of state, and the other 10% of those owners are very difficult to try to get in contact with. We got the estimated tenants from census data that says there's about 2.4, 2.5 people per dwelling within the city of Enterprise. As someone who's personally been out there several times, I could say that that number is much higher than that, but I wanted to make sure that any numbers that we brought to council tonight were backed up by data. With those properties, we adopted the property maintenance code back in April of 2023, and that property maintenance code allowed us to set a standard for health and sanitation across the city. With that, we were able to do 279 property maintenance inspections just inside Colony Drive, Castle Ridge, and Village Heights. That we did every external exterior inspection on each property, and we were actually invited in by some of the tenants at those properties to look at some issues that they had on the inside. What that allowed us to do after we did those inspections, we were able to launch a joint inspection with the Alabama Public Health Department to try to fix the sewage issues that we had that were present within the complexes. So council, what I want to do is I want to remind you of the engineering department's mission statement as we kind of go into looking at some of the pictures that are within the colony, the Dixie, and the Apache apartments. Our mission statement is to design, manage, and guide construction of our built environment, and while promoting quality and safety to all who visit, live, and conduct business within the boundary of the city of Enterprise. When it comes to code enforcement, manage is really the key word in there. When it comes to planning, we're designing. When it comes to A to Z construction, we're guiding. But when it comes to managing the quality of the city, it really comes down to code enforcement, about making sure that these apartment complexes or houses, businesses and the such are all kept to a standard that are safe and healthy for the community. These pictures are from the Colony, Dixie, and Apache apartment complexes. These 3 pictures right here, along with other properties, were properties that we identified as condemnable. These properties are completely uninhabitable. They have roofs falling in. They're separating at the foundation. They are a life safety issue for anyone who would enter into these buildings. The second slide, you can see This is where we had to get involved with the health department. The reason why, because as you can see, I guess it would be on your left, someone disconnected the sewer pipe from the back of this fourplex apartment and was allowing the sewage to spill directly on the outside of the building. Their solution was to dig a trench that took the sewage down to a local stream that was behind the building. The reason why I like using this picture is just kind of a paint what's going on inside some of these apartment complexes and why it's such a big deal to us to try to get them fixed is because if you can see, there is a child's soccer ball inside that stream, and about 5 feet away from me, we're in some contaminated part of the property, there was children's toys. The children don't know any better that live down there. They're just playing, they're just trying to have fun and whatnot, but it leads to sanitation issues that can potentially lead to sickness and things of that nature. So what you're seeing now is the parking lot at Apache Drive or Village Heights apartment complex. The reason why I'm showing you this is because we actually had some progress done since the July and August inspections. We had a legal ruling handed down to us in January that actually declared the parking lots a public nuisance. That was a really good ruling for us because it set some precedents for us to be able to move through other apartment complexes that may be in the same condition. The ruling that was handed down gave them 180 days to fix the apartment complexes and also alleviated the city of any responsibility in those apartment complexes. And so that really helps us and gives us a lot of confidence moving forward with other apartment complexes in the same condition. Speaking of apartment complexes or complexes in the same condition, this is from Colony Drive, and as you can see, there's massive holes in the parking lot, there's massive holes in the ingress area, and then we see the same type of conditions in the Dixie Drive apartment complexes as well. So with getting that legal win, we have actually went ahead and sent out to every property owner in those two complexes, notifying them that they must fix their property within the 180 days, and if not, that litigation will follow. And that will allow us to have some legal bearing on getting these situations fixed. So the other two things on the graph that I didn't touch on as I was going through Colony and Dixie and Apache, whereas you can see there's 58 structures demolished last year. That was through our CDGB, my bad. Yeah, yes, I apologize. Demo grants. And the reason why that's important is because each one of those structures was a dilapidated, abandoned structure that didn't have any utilities on it. It was not fit to be lived in. It was not fit for anyone to inhabit. And what we were able to do through this grant is we were actually able to demolish those properties, and we were able to then level the lots off and to allow for redevelopment. I'm sure Fire Chief can speak to this as well. An issue with these abandoned properties is that you'll have vagrant activities inside these properties. Like I said, there's no utilities. Winter comes around, people get cold. They try to heat themselves up by actually starting fires inside of these properties. The fire gets out of control, and now we have an issue with a house that's on fire that's burning. And we had an issue a little over a year ago, I believe, where we had multiple house fires of that nature, of abandoned dilapidated houses that were caught on fire. Now I want to no, you're fine. Now I kind of want to just go over to the code compliance inspections. We had 1,600 code compliance inspections, and that kind of split 75-25 between commercial and residential. Of course, there's always going to be more residential structures than there are commercial structures, but the commercial structures are just as important. Through our business walkthrough program, along with our code enforcement efforts, we were able to check individual commercial buildings for safety devices, make sure they have their exit signs, make sure they have their fire extinguishers, make sure their fire suppression systems are up to date, and so forth, to be able to really protect our community where everyone goes. You know, you come to your house, you're going to have a few guests, things like that, but when you have a public business, anyone and everyone can walk in, and we want to make sure that those buildings are as safe as they can be. When it comes down to our residential, we have a ton of things that go into our residential, from just your normal common nuisances such as grass, abandoned vehicles, and trash, all the way down to getting people to like getting landlords and things like that to fix issues in people's houses that make them almost unlivable. We had a situation where we had a lady in her 80s. The landlord refused to fix her AC, and it was mid-summer, and we were able to work diligently to get that repaired, and thankfully we were able to get it repaired, and now she has AC, and that's just one of the 1,000 stories that we could tell like that, where we are doing a lot of good work for the community and making sure that we're getting stuff cleaned up and we're keeping a standard for Enterprise. So this kind of goes back to the demolition part. As you can see, all three of these houses are dilapidated. The ones on the end were actually had a fire start in them. One of the on the right, I believe, was just an accidental fire from a heater, and then the other one, I believe it was a vagrant issue that caused the fire. But through the program, good. But through the program, we were able to bring the buildings down at no cost to the landowner. We were able to remove a obstacle in the path of redevelopment for the landowner as well, while also cleaning up a nuisance that may not have been able to be achieved as quickly without the grant. And as you can see on the ones on the end and on the one in the middle, we tried to put them back where they could be rebuilt and they could be redeveloped. And that is really the point of the grant, is to remove nuisances, remove safety hazards, but also allow redevelopment in the future. And the one on the far right for you actually has already had a building rebuilt on it in the last 6 months or so. So these are some common nuisances that we run into. This is just going to be for our normal code compliance inspections that we run through. We had an individual who decided to take up shop on a empty piece of land and decided to use scrap metal and RV parts to build some type of compound. We worked diligently to actually get all of that removed, and we were able to get that done in a timely manner, and it's cleaned up to this day. Some common nuisances that we deal with. We'll deal with unkept pools. We'll deal with when people get, either evicted from their houses, or they just happen to throw everything out on the yard, and then people start coming and rummaging through and doing things like that. And those are just some common things that we're able to get done. But it helps the community in the fact that nobody wants to see a bunch of trash out in somebody else's yard. And when you have pools like that, you have a massive mosquito problem, and you have a lot of neighbors around you, and they are affected because of that. Abandoned vehicles is one of the most common nuisances that we see. We normally focus on the ones in the roadway because they are impeding traffic. They're a hassle to our public works, our EMS, things like that. But when we do have dilapidated trucks and vehicles in a front yard that are like on blocks and haven't been registered in years and things like that, we get involved to get it cleaned up. Because really the point of code enforcement is to address nuisance properties. That's to address anything from a serious life safety issue down to something that is just that could potentially cause an issue or could potentially drive down property values. So we're from as serious as you can get to anything to do with grass, abandoned vehicles, anything of the like. So that's my presentation. Does the council have any questions they would like to ask or any updates they wish to have covered that I may not have?
Any questions of Thomas? All right. Thank you, Thomas. That was great. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you all for. It's nice to finally see some some progress being made in that category.
So gentlemen, I thank Thomas for doing that. That was, it was a good bit of work to pull that together, but I think you can see that we take this serious, and I know the council does, and the mayor's office does as well. You know, when you think about the engineering department, typically for a city, the easy stuff is the zoning, right? And the plan reviews and the building the new construction and all the stuff that you get real excited about. But there's that management part, and that was why we added that in our mission statement, because I think the management of what we have is real important for the city, and the engineering department that's one of our tasks that we're tasked to do. But I want to point out, I went back to this slide because I want to point out to you, up until recently, we have one code enforcement inspector, one. The gentleman's name that's working for us is Lee Kent. Lee does an amazing job. He came from a construction background. He does really good about walking up and talking to people and getting them on his side to understand why we need to get the things done. And, you know, for people that are reasonable, we can get those things mitigated pretty quick. There's some that won't, that just will not refuse to do what is in our codes and our laws. And when we get in those situations, we have to call on the police department, like today, a gentleman that refused to do it, and we had to take a police officer there for our staff safety and to make sure that we took care of what had to get taken care of. So this is not something that's just in the engineering department. This touches most of our departments here, and I'm real appreciative to Chief and your force for being there and helping us get the things done that we have to do. We work side by side. Also, I want to point out with the commercial that you see there that, you know, we did 1,000 code compliance inspections, 25% of that, 250 of those this past year were typically business walkthroughs, and we do that with the fire department. And Battalion Chief Beasley works with JT, Justin Tolbert, on our staff to do those. So again, you're talking about really small groups of people that do a whole lot of work. And I think we're headed in the right direction, and we're working with our new city attorney to make even more splash over the next quarter. So I'm excited for what Q2 report might be for you as we continue to do our job. So if you can flip forward. For Public Works, I want to give you a quick update. There's a lot going on for stormwater and sewer. You know, the rains have not stopped, and over the last year, they've been at times where we don't get any rain at all, and then all of a sudden we get it all at one time. And we get a lot of calls. A lot of my weeks are taken up with stormwater issues. Next slide. Just so y'all know what's on our plate, what we've got here, I gave you a quick list, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them up there. Tartan Way is a pipe project that we have actually a pipe failing. And is causing serious erosion and is approaching into the street, into the right-of-way, to a detention pond. We're starting on that this week. And also Red Cliff Circle, another 24-inch pipe that's failing, 160 foot of that. We're going to start that in 2 weeks. We typically move in when we can, get the project done, and move to the next one. I just want to kind of give you at least a preview on the stormwater projects. When you say, hey, what's on your plate for Public Works? This is what we do. We do this primarily with 2 groups, one within a sewer group. Those guys are used to laying pipe on grade, so they do a really good job, but they're backed up by the street department. So both of those groups are relatively small groups, but they do a lot for the city. Next slide. As far as the sewer projects we've got going on, I want to highlight that as well, because that's pipe projects as well. We've got Willow Drive. It's a sewer line replacement. We'll start that in about 2 weeks. And then Reggie's working on some pier replacement projects. That's where the sewer line's actually above the ground, and we have concrete, well, I mean not concrete, wooden telephone poles that are up in the air that suspend the pipe across and keeps it on grade. That's real important, because if that thing starts sagging or whatever, it starts causing problems with the pipe start getting clogged, and then we start to have other issues there. So we're working real diligently to do those 3 other pier replacement projects after we get through with Willow Drive. Next slide. Before I leave that, I just want to thank, I know back in the room, Shannon Roberts, he's here all the time, and he gives great leadership to his staff. I know it's not just Shannon, but, you know, Reggie, Greg, the whole crew at Public Works. You can't find a higher quality group of people, young men and ladies that do their job day in and day out, and I can't thank them enough for what they do. Moving forward on the sidewalk rehabilitation project, we started this project last year with about $250,000 in the budget. The purpose of that money was to go forward and find sidewalk projects that were tripping hazards, that were demolished, that need to be replaced. We were able to come up with a contractor that's doing a great job there and have gotten such good work done with them at a good price. We had a surplus of almost $90,000 left after we got through with our initial push. Next slide. So the two that I'd like to propose to you that we move forward with is two areas. One's on East Lee Street, and I know I can't see that one. I hope you can see it, but you can't see it either. The reason I pulled it off on the side, it's in red writing, but I pulled it off to the side to make sure you can read. But we've got basically 1,700 square feet on one side and 180 square foot on the other side, so almost 2,000 square feet of sidewalk to be done along East Lee Street, and that's to tie in back from where the Easy Street parking lot is back towards the rec center. And the whole idea there is get walkability in these main corridors back from where our facilities are back down to that Main Street area. That's one that I would propose to you that we can handle within the remaining money. The next one, if you can slip. This is some of the pictures off of that section. You can see that we've got on the left, there's some cracked sidewalks, broken sidewalks. It's just in ill repair. And then on the right, we have several tripping hazards, and we're getting reports of those in Public Works of, hey, we've got these tripping hazards. I was walking, I tripped, I fell. We grind down what we can, but the slabs are actually shifting and moving. So these were two areas that fit our budget, that were concentrated areas that we could go in and get this done and move on. Next slide. The other one that I would propose to you that we ought to look at is Daleville Avenue. Daleville Avenue it's already got sidewalks there. It's an older section of that, but connects back to Edward Street, back up to where one of the first TAP grants was, I think 4 or 5 years ago, back towards WIDA. On that one, we've got about 4,000 square foot of sidewalk, but it's all open. I think we can get really good prices with this contractor to go in and get those done. The whole idea is if over half of the sidewalk sections are broken or cracked, we would just replace that section. If not, we would just take those certain areas we have to, break that area out, pour those sections back, and keep moving. Next slide. This is some of the pictures from what you see. There's a lot of old sidewalks on the left, cracks, a lot of crack and broken sidewalks in that section, but there's also tripping hazards in that one as well. I'll tell you, we can probably go anywhere in the city. These areas exist everywhere. I was trying to find some projects that match our money, that we come in just two areas and try to get them done if we can. If y'all are not happy with those, or if you have an area you would like for me to look at, I will be glad to do so. I think we can get both of these areas done for the remaining money that's there, and we're working. If you decide to go forward with it, we'll get a final price from the contractor and get this thing started here in the next couple of weeks and get this knocked out, finished. And with that, I think that's the last one I had. So I don't know if you have any questions for me about either one of those, about storm drainage, sewer, or sidewalks, but I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
So it sounds like you want us to make a decision on your recommendations there, or you just want to thumbs up tonight and bring us something actionable?
I'm just looking for, if the council gives me a thumbs up to move forward, we'll move forward with the contractor and add that to the contract on those two areas of sidewalks. If you don't, if you have another area you'd like me to look at, I'll come back with another plan for you. But I'm looking for a nod or a thumbs up to say, y'all are good with that.
So you don't need council action?
No, sir. We have a contract in place. I just want to make sure what I'm doing is what y'all want.
Any concerns with the recommendation?
Move forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Guys,
sounds
I just
like
want
you've
to
got our
thank you
blessing
for the
on
staff that we've got. Engineering, it's easy to give you these reports. They're doing great things for the city, and I just want to give them a quick pat on the back for what they do, and I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to do it.
Well, thanks, Barry. Any other questions? All right, thanks for the good report. All right, any other staff reports before we move on to old business? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to old business. We've got a public hearing and consideration of ordinance 020624, which is the annexation and zoning of the Byrd and Curington land. I call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 020624. providing for the annexation and zoning of 5.4 acres of land owned by Brenda Bird and Scott Currington into the city limits and to establish zoning R100 residential district. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion in consideration of ordinance 020624.
I move to adopt ordinance 020624.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 020624. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have a public hearing in consideration of ordinance 020624A, the Bird and Currington rezone. I call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 020624A, providing for the rezone of 86.35 acres of land owned by Brenda Bird and Scott Currington from AG2 Agricultural District to R100 Residential District, located at the southeast corner of Ozark Highway and Shellfield Road and County Road 700. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing and entertain a motion in consideration of ordinance 020624A.
I move to adopt ordinance 020624A.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 020624A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now have a public hearing and consideration of ordinance 020624B, the parish rezone. I call for a public hearing prior to consideration of ordinance 020624B, providing for the rezone of 10 acres of land by Ashton Parish from R75S Residential District and B1 Business District to TH1 Townhouse District located on Doster Street. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? All right, seeing no one, we will now close the hearing, and I'll entertain a motion in consideration of ordinance 020624B.
Move to adopt ordinance 020624B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 020624B. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now have a public hearing and consideration of an ABC license request from Sephora. I call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from M&Y LLC, DBA Sephora, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 1109 Bowleville Circle, Suite 5. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion in consideration of ABC license request.
I move to approve the ABC license request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the ABC license request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider a bid recommendation from Parks and Recreation regarding some pickup trucks. I introduce and call for consideration of a recommendation from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to award bid requisition number 2024-02 for two 2024 Ram 2500 3/4 ton four-wheel drive crew cab pickup trucks to Mitchell Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Incorporated in the total bid amount of $85,828, which is $42,914 each. Other bids received are as follows: Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for $48,109 each. That's a total of $96,218. And Stivers Ford for $47,738 each, which is a total of $95,476. Do I hear a motion?
I move to award the bid requisition number 202402 for two pickup trucks to the Mitchell Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Inc. in the total bid amount of $85,828.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to award this bid requisition. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider a bid recommendation from Parks and Recreation regarding the exclusive beverage rights. I introduce and call for consideration of a recommendation from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to award bid requisition number 2024-03 for exclusive beverage rights at all Parks and Recreation facilities to Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company of Laverne. Bids received are as follows, and you see the list there from the bidder, Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company of Laverne versus the Coca-Cola Bottling Company, United Central LLC. You can see the difference there. I'm not going to read all those for the sake of time, but I will entertain a motion to approve this or award this bid requisition.
I move to award bid requisition number 2024-03 for exclusive beverage rights at all Parks and Recs facilities to Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company, Laverne.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to award this bid requisition number 2024-03. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to new business. Review and consider Resolution 030524 regarding additional pay for EMS certification at the fire department. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 030524, providing to grant additional pay of $170 per pay period, less applicable withholding for Alabama Department of Public Health licensed paramedics, and $120 per pay period, less applicable withholding for Alabama Department of Public Health licensed advanced EMTs, effective the first full pay period of May 2024. Do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt Resolution 030524.
Second.
I have a motion to adopt Resolution 030524. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement regarding the All-In Credit Union car sale. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement on behalf of the City of Enterprise with All-In Credit Union to hold their annual car sale April 18th through 20th, 2024 on the grounds next to the Enterprise Civic Center. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement with the All-In Credit Union as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute this agreement. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to execute a revision number 1 to the USDA agreement regarding wildlife damage management services. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute revision number 1 to the cooperative service agreement between the City of Enterprise and the Department of Agriculture, USDA. Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services, APHIS, Wildlife Services, WS, for wildlife damage management services within the city, and further authorize additional funding, $4,000. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute revision number 1 to the USDA agreement and further authorize additional funding of $4,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute revision number 1 of this agreement. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider authorizing the mayor to execute a lease agreement with Perry Brothers Aviation Fuels, LLC for an airport fuel truck. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement upon review by the city attorney with Perry Brothers Aviation Fuels, LLC for the lease of one 1999 International 3,000-gallon Jet A refueling truck at $1,250 per month. The agreement is a modification of the previous agreement with the city's aircraft fuel provider and approved in the FY24 budget. Do I hear a motion?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the lease agreement upon review by the city attorney.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute this lease agreement. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider change order number 1 for the FY22 resurfacing improvements, Phase 3A. I introduce and call for consideration of change order number 1 submitted by Poly Incorporated for an increase of $608,848.75 in the contract and the total contract amount with Wiregrass Construction Company Incorporated for FY22 resurfacing improvements Phase 3A. The change order increases the contract substantial completion time by 472 calendar days and adjusts the total contract amount to $4,604,177.25. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve change order number 1 as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve change order number 1 as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider a request of permission to purchase an aerial apparatus from the fire department. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Fire Chief Christopher Davis to purchase a 75-foot aerial apparatus from Sunbelt Fire Incorporated for $1.15 million. Funding will be through the fire fee account with an approximate shortfall of $200,000 to be requested from the general fund. Payment will be required upon taking possession of the apparatus in the second quarter of FY26. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request to amend the FY 2024 budget for the EMS incentive pay at the fire department. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Fire Chief Christopher Davis to amend the FY 24 budget by $33,650 to include the implementation of Advanced Life Support ALS EMS incentive pay. Do I hear a motion?
Move to amend the FY 2024 budget as requested.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend the FY 2024 budget as requested. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now review and consider a street lighting modification request for Indian Camp Crossing and Arrowhead Drive. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer, Public Works Director Barry Mott to install the following at an annual cost of $1,098.72. One 40-watt 5200 to 7200 lumen street light on Indian Camp Crossing and one 40-watt 5200 to 7200 lumen street light on Arrowhead Drive. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the street lighting request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the street lighting request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start by recognizing the Enterprise Boys basketball team and coaches who competed over the weekend for a state championship. Though not the outcome we had hoped for, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say we are proud of you and offer you our congratulations on making it as far as you did. It takes a lot of practice, hard work, and discipline to do what you did, and to do that, I will say, go Cats. Speaking of athletes, congratulations to the 5 Enterprise Park and Recreation teams headed to the ARPA State Basketball Tournament this weekend. We know you will represent our city well. I would like to remind everyone about the grand opening of the pickleball complex tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. at the corner of the campus and George Wallace Drive. We're looking forward to opening the 8 new pickleball courts. Thank you all of the department heads that pulled off this together to get this facility ready and open to our community. A reminder, this Friday, March 8th, is the Enterprise Police Department's Tip a Cop fundraiser for Special Olympics. You can find those details on the EPD's Facebook page. Next weekend, the 16th, is a very busy day in Enterprise. Start your morning with us at Bates Memorial Stadium for the Oscar Club's 7th annual day of service. This event is a great opportunity for friends, family, neighbors, community groups, whatever to join together to take up a service project for the betterment of Enterprise. The 16th is also the annual world's smallest St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown Enterprise, followed by Zero Point K. A portion of the proceeds from this race will benefit our police and fire departments as well as Coffee County CERT. I would like to give a special shout out to the Young Main Street Committee. These young adults are adding another mural to our downtown area. If you know of any young people between the ages of 14 to 20 who are looking to get more involved in our community, we encourage them to check out this unique program. Finally, I would like to remind you that the agenda packet and minutes from all Enterprise City Council meetings are posted on the city website at enterpriseal.gov. You can also stay up to date with the current events in the City of Enterprise by following the City of Enterprise AL on Facebook. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Sonia?
Congratulations to all of our pickleball enthusiasts. Tomorrow will be a big day. I was asked if I was going to be playing pickleball, and I answered with an emphatic no. But I am excited that our courts are going to be available for our citizens to enjoy that. I did want to just briefly thank Thomas and your staff and Mr. Mott. February 12th, I think it was, Mr. Mott and I rode around in my district till we couldn't see anymore, till it got dark, and really looked at a lot of areas that are just plagued with blight, and so his staff is really being very diligent to make these areas better. He gave me some ideas for some sidewalks, council, that they don't necessarily need to be repaired, but just kind of restored, really. You wouldn't even know that it was a sidewalk there. Just needs some cleanup, so they're going to take care of that. And those will be areas that our citizens can use to walk downtown. It was on like West Adams Street. So although some areas, they might not get presented to us in a form of a report, they're on top of it and including that in the project, the sidewalk project. So just appreciate your diligence and your time to do what you're doing, and glad everyone could come out tonight. Have a good night.
Eugene?
This past week, all of the departments were recognized, and all of our city employees, and we are really appreciative of all of our employees and our department heads and the jobs that they do. But like Sonia said, the engineering department and the correction of these blights and the progress that they're making, it seems like there's no progress made, but it is a lot involved when you start forcing people to take care of their property. So I especially appreciate the work they do.
Greg?
Thank all of y'all for coming out tonight. Also like to thank all the city employees. Quite a bit's been presented tonight. Good job. A lot of good things happen in our city. Also excited to see the things going on at Enterprise State Community College. It was presented in our work session earlier, and you all have a good night.
Scotty?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you for all our online community folks out there that are watching. And again, I'll echo, thank you, Thomas and Mary, for that engineering, because whenever I call, you guys are so responsive, and you're being so proactive out there instead of being reactive. And it helps all our citizens, community out there. And it's just amazing what you can drive around and see, like you talked about in your district, that you don't know that's out there until you drive every street. But again, thank you. Thank you to all our city workers for everything that you do each and every day. I'll say it again, proud as a peacock, when I see the things that are happening for this city. So thank you very much, and God bless.
Mr. President, can I just add one?
Yeah, go ahead, Sonia.
We have people that come for our privilege of the floor, and a lot of people are complaining. Some people are not, but it's very encouraging. I bumped into a constituent today, just moving fast after voting, not really paying attention, and she stopped me, and she specifically she said she called him Mr. Lee about her situation on her street. When Eugene and I had a meeting, it probably was 2018 or 2019, we met in the engineering department and talked about this. And so we know for a fact, I want our citizens to know that the changes are being made, and citizens are proud and they are happy, they are elated. Matter of fact, the desperation that I once heard in this constituent's voice was happiness today, because her house was being infested from a neighbor's property, and because we established those codes, she's at peace, basically. So that's the impact of us passing these enforcement codes in the direction that we're going. We're making people comfortable in their dwelling. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think my colleagues have covered most everything, so ditto everything everybody said. I do want to give Chief Moore a plug, one last plug for his March 8th, I believe 11:30 to 1 o'clock at the Craft for y'all's Special Olympic Fund Drive. Sounds like a great cause, so hopefully everybody can join them there. And I also would be remiss if I didn't mention Coach Stump, Dr. Zell Thomas, Enterprise City Schools for allowing us to use these facilities tonight. We got ran out of the Civic Center tonight because of voting, so we certainly don't like to change our meeting venue, but thank you all for allowing us to use this. And after that, I will adjourn, but remind everybody we've got to reconvene immediately following this into our E911 board meeting. So I will now call our E911 board meeting to order, which should last all of about 60 seconds, so please bear with me. So let the record show that all members of the board are present, and the first item on the agenda is to review the